Thank you for tuning in once more time to Pedram's Talk. I got a special guest, Mr. Sahab Habibi. He did ask me specifically to talk in English, so I'm sorry. We'll try to subtitle it as much as we can. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Sahab John, when I look at your, since the first time I got to know you back in, 2011, maybe 10, late 10, 2000, early 2011. What I remember is this young kid with a lot of ambition. Like you had like this energy in you. Like you're a very tall guy, very handsome, very nice looking, sharp. Thanks, it really stands out, especially because you're not a typical bodybuilder, but you're big, tall, nice looking guy. So when I saw you perform for the first time, I was quite impressed. I don't think I've ever had any, opportunity like that where someone actually plays the instrument that you do on stage, standing up, walking around, getting people engaged. That was really something that stood out. Just kind of walk me through, your early days, from when you were born, elementary, junior high school, and then how did you even got to the instrument?
Sure. Well, thanks again. Thanks for having me. Thanks for everyone tuning in, watching, listening, whatever. Yeah, so my name is Sahab Habibi, born in Iran, Tehran, left at 2 months old.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so my parents were studying in Turkey at the time.
Okay.
And I guess when my mom was close to having me at 7 months, 7.5, my dad's like, go back to Iran. Family is there. Good place to do what you have to do. And then when he's born and there's people taking care of him, we'll come back, finish our studies and go back to Iran or go to Canada. So at one point, with a lot of things that was happening in Iran at the time, I guess it was a time for us to decide what's best and came over to Canada. And thank you, Canada, for having us. It's been a great few years being here, and I couldn't be more thankful about that.
So how old were you when you came to Canada?
Probably by like 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you even went to kindergarten here?
Yes. Well, we started off in Montreal, Quebec City. So that's how I learned my French.
Okay.
I speak French as well.
Fluently?
Yes. Better than my Farsi.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So we went there for a while, and then my little brother was born. Once he was born, my dad found himself a job in Toronto.
What's your age difference between you and...
5 years.
5 years, okay.
Yeah, so he was born in Montreal, and then we moved over to Toronto, and we've been here ever since.
Okay. So how did you, during your days, I guess your junior high school, did you ever pick up music instrument in high school?
So my first instrument, believe it or not, was the piano.
Okay.
So yeah, my parents put me in piano class, private teacher, the whole thing.
And also in school?
Yes.
Okay, music school.
So in elementary school, I think, I don't know, it was like 8, 10, around then. I would do performances in front of other schools, and we would go on these little tours and stuff. So yeah, I would do Sultan Ghalba a lot. That's when I figured that out. So I learned how to play that song. So
did you have a Iranian?
Yeah, she was Iranian.
Okay,
I think her name was Yegane.
Okay.
I don't remember. But she was my teacher back then. So I did that for a while. I'm not sure exactly what happened that made me stop doing that, but I guess it wasn't what I really felt. Got a little bit older, went to high school, took music class there too. And in music class, I took the sax. So they gave me a saxophone. So I started doing that for a while. In my school band, also same thing, going on tours all over Ontario.
That's a tough instrument, going from piano to saxophone, no?
Music is music. If you have that, that sound in your ear to be able to do it, why not? So,
yeah, but you didn't find it challenging because with piano you only have.
Well, they're both fingers.
Okay.
Right. One has keys like this. One has keys like that. Yeah. So I did that for a few years. Like I said, part of our school band. We went touring all over, and then even that. And I remember when we first moved to Canada, the Persian population wasn't as massive as it is now, right? So we would always throw Persian events out there, and my parents would always be involved in that. The newcomers that would come here, we'd say, "You're not alone, let's be together." So they would throw events. And my mom would sing on stage, dance, comedy. She did all kinds of stuff like that. And my dad sometimes during the musical pieces would actually play the drum.
Okay.
He played the toneback. He even had electrical drums back there, which there's still videos of it. So it was always something my brother and I always saw.
Okay.
That they were always that active.
Did they ask you to perform back
no,
then?
No. I was a kid back then. And then
not even Sahab June, come here, you know, play your saxophone kind of thing. No, never.
Actually, when I was doing those, I wasn't even doing the sax set. It was the piano.
Okay.
So I did stuff on the keyboard, you know, and things like that. I think a few times I might even find videos of me playing while my mom was singing.
Okay.
So that was cool. But yeah, so we started doing that a lot, and then one time we go to this drum circle. My parents take me there, and it was a bunch of people all playing the drums or whatever. And my dad sits me down there and goes, play with these guys. So I started doing that, and that's when I was like, whoa, this sound, this feeling, what it feels inside and everything was such a good feeling that I was with them for, I think, 2 hours.
Okay.
2 hours nonstop. It was a circle, and it wasn't any like notes, just play.
Okay.
Everybody was playing the rhythm, and then eventually they'd stop, people would clap, have a drink of water, and keep going. And I did it the whole time. And that's when I was like, wow, this is really good. And then eventually everyone went and sat down in an area in front of a stage, and they went up there and started playing. I don't remember this guy's name. I kind of remember his face. He had like a little scruff, like curly hair, kind of looked like a hippie. And he saw me on stage, well, in the crowd, but from the stage. And he just got off the stage during the performance and grabbed me and brought me up there. It was really cool. And that's when, I don't know, it just something like I've played on stages before, but that time it was a little different because, you know, the sax is like a romantic instrument. Piano can be hard, or hard as in like, you know, it could be like powerful, and it can be romantic too. But then the drum is just like all of it all together, like a running horse. So that was a really good feeling, and from then on, I just started to continue doing it.
How old were you? This
like
performer?
13.
Okay.
14, yeah. And then that's when eventually we got a little older, and I'm sure you remember Meet Me in TO. We used to throw all the events downtown Toronto, and I was always vouching to get, you know, drummers out there to play. And sometimes they let me play with them. Sometimes I bring out the shakers and whatever. And then, once that happened, we were actually, I don't know where we were, but my dad found a drum. It's not like we were poor and we couldn't afford it, but he found like this little darbuka drum, and he's like, listen, I found this. If you want, have it. I wasn't going to throw it out, but it was just, you know, where I was at. So I just started taking that out with me and taking it out to parks, house parties.
So you actually never bought one. Your dad gave you one.
Yeah, my dad gave me one. And then eventually when I started going for classes, that's when I got myself one.
Okay.
So at that point, it wasn't even, you know, like you're a young kid and you're always, I want to try this. I want to try this. I want to try this. So it was always like, we bought you a keyboard. We bought you a sax. You know what I mean?
Make a decision.
Let's see if you're going to stick to this, and then we'll continue. So I would go to all these parties with all my buddies and stuff, and I was like, Sahab, where's your drum? Sahab, where's your drum? Sahab, where's your drum? So I'd always bring it out and just jam for fun. And I guess one day I was somewhere and there was a
But
club.
this was still a non-Persian event.
Yeah, no. This was just house parties
This was just
English.
like together.
Yeah,
people
non-Persian. Well, there was Persian people there.
There was Persian
but like,
crowd, but it wasn't.
No, it wasn't like, you know, dun, 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 it wasn't stuff like that, which is great, but it wasn't at those times. It was like house music, hip hop, stuff like that. So yeah, the club owner's there one night, and he's like, hey, you're really good. And I'm like, thanks. And then he was like, are you available next Saturday? And, you know, I'm just sitting there trying to act all cool. I'm like, let me check my schedule. So, obviously, I was doing nothing. I'm like, yeah, I'm available. I'll come by. So he's like, okay, see you. This is the time we want. Here's the address. See you there. So I went. I played.
Which club was it?
Time Nightclub.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Time Nightclub. So I go there and I played. I actually rented a drum at that point because... these drums are pretty expensive. And then at one point, it worked. And slowly he booked me again. And then someone else was there. And then they called me and said, hey, are you available on this day? And then it slowly started to grow like that to a point where I was, you know, not really booked like I am now. But I would take any opportunity I had, you know? Like there was times I played in coffee shops. There was times where I just went and I played somewhere just because I wanted to play. So it started off like that a lot till eventually it got to, you know, where we are now and how we're doing.
When did you purchase your first djembe, you said, right? That's what it's called.
My first djembe actually was given to me as a gift from one of my exes.
Okay.
Who helped with my teacher at the time, his name was Nation, greatest guy ever. If you ever end up watching this.
Is that the same djembe that you have right now?
No. That's
you still have it?
That one is that's locked up with proper temperatures and conditions.
Do you still play with it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Whenever I go to my classes or I meet with my old drum teachers, like the West African drum masters, I can never bring the drums I bring right now because those are synthetic drums and they're a lot easier to take with me on the plane. You know what I mean? At these events and stuff, people sometimes randomly come and they hit it. And it actually happened with that one because it's a wooden drum with goat skin on it. And if with this dry weather like this, one hit with someone with a ring on their finger or something, boom, there goes. And it actually happened to me. Oh yeah. So eventually I found
at an event.
Oh yeah, at an event. But it's such a good drum still that it still worked. It was like a little tear.
Okay.
And just like
it wasn't like the whole thing ripped apart.
No. It was a tear. And you know what's funny? I don't know if you know, and I don't know why I know, but when girls rip their pantyhose and they put nail polish, it's the same thing with the goat skin. So I did that for a while until eventually I was able to go to an African drum store and they ordered another skin from Africa, brought it here, which was pretty cool because I never saw it at that point.
To replace the old one that you have locked up?
To replace the skin, which is a cool skin now too. And I shaved the hair off of it. And then one of my drum masters was there at the time, so we blessed it. So it was really cool. So that's how I got my first drum. And it was cool because we went to Afrofest every year in the summer at Woodbine Park, I think. They have Afrofest. And I would always go there and jam with all the guys there. And at one point, my drum teacher, Nation, he brings it and puts a drum in between my lap. He's like, play with this one. And I'm like, okay. So I wasn't really thinking anything about it. And I look at the side and I see, like, the cool thing is it's got my initials on it. Oh, actually, my whole last name is on it. It says Habibi.
Okay.
So at first I was playing and I was trying to...
This was the red wooden one, right? The one that you, I guess, play now with? Is that
No. That one, but
okay.
I'm sure, like, on my Instagram and stuff, you can see pictures of it. But yeah, so that one, I see HAB, but I didn't, because it's round.
Yeah.
So I didn't look at all of it. I'm like, habitat? Like, what is this, right? So I started playing, and at one point, Nation, my teacher, comes back to me and he's like, do you like this drum? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's yours. What do you mean it's mine? He's like, pick it up. So I picked it up and I saw it says Habibi on it. Oh, that changed my life. And I'm like, you know what, Nation? From this day forth, I will do as much as I could to be the best I can be on this drum. I take it back like 10 years later. And
so is it like, do most drummers like that own a drum, do they have their name carved out? Is this like common?
Or no, not even at all. Okay. It was a gift and it was done and it was pretty cool.
Okay.
But the memory and what I feel about that drum is so powerful to me that it's one of those that, like, studio, when I'm in the studio for a recording or something, or like I said, when I'm with those guys and we're playing, that's when I'll take that. Other than that, she's at home at my parents' house in an area just protected.
So how many drums do you have?
34.
34.
Yeah, because I got the darbukas. I actually got one from Egypt. One of my really good friends went to Egypt for a trip, came back, gave me one. Another one I got from Lebanon, carved, not with my name, but like cool designs. One of my other friends, she went there and she brought it for me. Thank you very much. I got bongos, congas, timbales.
But which one do you more connected to?
Djembe.
Yeah. And how many djembes do you have?
Djembes, I have 6.
And you play all of them?
6 real djembes and like 3 of those decoration ones, that you buy at the gift store or whatever. You can still kind of hit it, but there's no way you can perform with that.
Got it.
Because it'll
And
explode.
out of the 6, you're close to what, 3 you said, or 2? Like you have one memory with it.
Well, now I have another djembe. I don't know if you saw my Bongo Bot show, which I'm all covered in LEDs. So that was one of my older djembes that I kind of tweaked up a bit, covered it with LEDs, and now it lights up.
Okay.
So my main djembes are the 4.
Okay.
4 of them that I have.
And you can pretty much know which one to take at what event?
Yeah.
So it's not like hard. It's pretty much like...
Oh, no, yeah.
You know what event?
Yeah, exactly.
So when was the first time that you actually got into the whole community? Like the Iranian community, the Persian community. When was the first time that, like, who gave you that opportunity to say, hey, Sahab, now the tune is changing. We're going to fully Qari music. Now it's just different.
The funny thing is it's not even that the tune was changing. At the time, I think that I first started getting into the Persian scene. There was already some other percussion players and djembe players there as well.
Okay.
But I think the difference is when I played the drum and the way I practiced was I wanted to try all the different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a Persian teacher, I've had an African teacher, a Spanish teacher, teacher from Trinidad, teacher from Egypt. So I went through a lot of classes taking different lessons of different rhythms from different cultures, from different countries, and put something together in my head and with what I liked from all the people that I looked up to and the people that I liked and when I heard them drum. So I guess it was a different type of a sound than your typical, you know, Persian style, you know, Middle Eastern playing. So yeah, actually no, it was the guy, his name was Reno. You know Reno?
Yes.
Yeah, Reno. This guy's been DJing forever. Yeah. It was him. It was this other guy, Nima. You know Nima, the guy with the blue eyes? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was...
So they had a Persian event?
Yeah, they were throwing a Persian event somewhere. Okay. And they're like,
they called you, they said,
yeah,
hey,
Sahab, like, we like what you're doing. This is totally different. This is something that I think Persians would like. Come do it. So I went and I did it.
And it didn't make much difference to you whether it was a Persian or non-Persian?
Persian's Persian, man. You got the rhythm in you no matter what.
So I mean, it felt like natural to just be there, do what you have to do.
Yeah, and the cool thing was at first it was funny. Everyone, because of my name, they thought I was Arab.
Oh, okay.
So they were always like, there's all these Persian drummers out there. Why do you guys keep bringing this Arab guy? And then they're like, he's not Arab. He's Persian. He just has an Arab name.
Yeah.
So I guess once, you know, it's not like there was any problems with that. But
I mean, the last name, it sounds Arabic, but the first name, Sahab?
I don't know.
Sahab?
All I know is they thought so, right?
Okay.
And then once they found out I was Persian, I guess they had like their joy, like, yeah, we got a Persian person playing like this or whatever. So yeah, it worked out pretty well. I started getting a lot of bookings with these guys.
I remember you at one point, I think, I don't know, this is maybe 2014, where not just you were at clubs, you were doing like festivals.
Yeah.
You were like out there. And I would see your name like on newspapers. I guess back then it was newspapers. Like people were still not engaged as much into Facebook, into Instagram and things like that, where it is now. So I would see your picture as part of one of the performers. And I don't know, do you know how many events you did?
Like then to now?
No, well, no.
Oh yeah, back then. No, one of the best or greatest times of my life was when I did Digital Dreams.
Okay.
Digital Dreams, I don't even remember when. Probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I did it with some of my buddies, Marco Bongo, Peter B, Chris, and even we had dancers there too. And yeah, that was 35,000 people.
Okay.
So there was...
And I believe you have a picture of it on your Instagram.
Yes. It's pretty far down there because it's been a while, but yeah, I've got one. And that was... Actually, I have some videos that I had on my BlackBerry back then.
Okay.
I was like side stage waiting and I peek my head out and I just see an ocean of people just like I couldn't even see the end of it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna go play here. And what happened was we got this last minute, like within a week.
Yes.
Tiesto was going on and there was another DJ going on before him, and Tiesto, he needs his stuff done the way he wants. So there was a 5-minute gap where they had to come and rearrange all the CDJs and whatever equipment he needed there, that it was going to be dead zone, like dead air. So they said, go give us 5 minutes and get off. What a 5 minutes. And we had it on the Saturday and the Sunday. Okay. Because the Sunday was Tiesto, the Saturday, I don't remember which DJ it was, but it was another one that needed his table the way he wanted it. Okay. So yeah, so we did it, and that was insane because at one point when we got people to clap, and when you hear like 30,000+ people clapping, it hits you, right? And I remember as soon as I got off the stage and went backstage, I lost feeling in my legs and I just dropped. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And yeah, it's definitely an experience I'll never forget forever. And yeah, if I can explain to you that feeling, I would, but I can't. But it was definitely awesome.
Yeah, to explore something in that magnitude, with that many people, you know, watching you, I'm sure it's priceless. I don't think
yes, totally.
But then I do see Sahab transitioning. I don't know, maybe just because I'm more into Iranian thing. I see you more and more. It seems that the community keeps wanting to explore you more, kind of discover you more. Because then starting 2000, end of 14, 15, I'm hearing your name not just at events now. I'm hearing your name at private events, at weddings, at, I don't know, galas, at just events that are specifically tailored to, private gatherings, corporations, and an event organizer. So that whole thing, it wasn't that you were kind of the way I see it is that Sahab kind of branded yourself in a way that now you could be the main go-to person. Like they literally they could just have dancers and then Sahab, and that's it. They could have an event like that. And I don't know if you have, where they might not have another performer, they might not even have a singer. They might just have a DJ that just plays music, but then you be the main entertainer, right? I probably that's what I remember, but I could see the community kept getting more interested of getting you doing more and more with them. Did that change? Like, is it different to work with Iranians versus other?
Well, it's different to work with any kind.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own way of doing things.
Yeah. But Iranian, they come in late. Their setup might be not off. You might not have the microphone turned on.
Yeah, but you see,
do you have any funny stories?
Oh, lots, but we're not going to talk about it because I may give out some names and it won't be good.
Okay.
But no, what happens is that does happen.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
But you just got to learn to adapt. You got to learn to know. Like the few times I went there and I was like, whoa, how am I going to do this? Right. And when you're performing sometimes on stages and you got like all these hundreds, thousands of people watching you, no matter what, you need to make sure the integrity of your show is good. If something goes bad during your show, people aren't going to say, oh, it was the sound guy's fault or it was the promoter's fault. They'll look at you because you were the one doing it. So you got to be prepared. I always make sure to have my own music. I always make sure to send them, an email with Dropbox link to it as well. Talk to the tech team, get everything ready, come ahead of time, make sure. And also, once you work with a few people, you'll know who are, to a level where, yes, you can do it. And some where you're just like, you know what?
Are you conservative when it comes to picking up? So if a new promoter comes about and say, hey, I want to get into this. I have this idea that I want to perform, but then obviously he has zero or, very limited experience. Would you be more conservative with that?
Well, I'd have to check the scope of his experience first of all. Because one thing, the sound and, the production going wrong, but another thing, being somewhere with like 8 people, 10 people at an event is also, at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do and perform because that 8 people is 8 people, right? But you also have to see the integrity of the promoter, who they are, who they want to work with. And at the current time, with the amount of people I've worked with, I've built friendships, relationships with some people. So most of the time I'd be with them only.
So it's a repeat business.
Oh, yeah.
Repeat collaborations that keeps coming back. Okay, so, but then you could potentially work with somebody that say, listen, they ask you for your input, then you kind of lead the way and let them.
Totally. If it's a good enough event, with great ideas and, just everything going the way I see that it can work, why not?
What's your prefer? Do you prefer to do a public event or a private event? Do you have a preference when it comes to like events? Do you prefer the event that's actually like, put your name out there, you're like the headliner or your addition to a like an opener? Or do you prefer to just be at an event that's very exclusive, people that are there, they're there for other purposes, you're just there to,
Well, everyone loves the headliner, so I can't say I wouldn't want that.
Okay.
But there's been times where I was a headliner or was on the stage or on the flyer, promoted that way, and the event wasn't as good as a private one. Now, by private one, I don't mean like a party of 100 people. I've done private corporate events, with like 2,000 people at the Sony Center, you know what I mean, which was insane. And then I've done events with 2,000 people where everyone's just sitting there and watching, and they're not really interactive. So headliner is good. It's good for my branding. It's good for, putting my name out there too. But my favorite is when you're on stage or in the middle of the crowd and people are vibing to you and going nuts to you and you can feed off that energy, because when I do that, I play even better. So
let me ask you one other question, because I remember this is vividly, but this is like a long time ago when I remember. Who helps you with your picking of your songs, especially with Iranian songs? Because now most of the Iranian or Persian songs come from Iran. So I remember vividly that there was one event that I was there, this is many years ago, where you were actually tuning or playing along with a song that was actually made in Iran. It wasn't that popular either, but you could tell that you actually had, practice on this particular Like, who helps you with your picking of your choosing? Is it just friends coming telling you like,
no,
hey?
I got an awesome DJ producer and one of my best friends and like a big brother to me, Nima Paripush, Persia Don, DJ Scarface, whatever you want to call him. He's
pretty good.
He's really good.
Yeah, but I don't know if he really brands himself good enough. I mean, he's always an addition. I mean,
he's more into producing. Exactly. He's actually working with some music for some big names out there. So that's where he's into. He's into the planning, and he was a big part of Habibi drums and where I got into, helping me out with the music, giving me the best mixes ever. I would sometimes find the songs and say, hey, Nima, what do you think if we did this song and this song, threw an explosion here and did a loop here? So he's like the doctor, you know? He'd be like, yeah, let's do it, and end up being... And some of his mixes now that we made 5-6 years ago, I still use them. Now that, you know, I'm more... how can I say, more active outside Toronto, there's a lot of people out there that haven't even seen the early beginning parts of Sahab, you know? So
you're going back and recycling older stuff. Yeah,
so I'm going back to the roots, to what worked, because, you know, you always have to brand yourself, you always have to grow, right? And you can't have the same guy do the same thing all the time, because no matter how good you are and however you do, eventually people will just be sick of you. So you have to always keep changing it. So right now I have a good like 14 different acts that I can have. So depending on which country I go, how many times I go, I'll be able to do something else there and represent. So shout out to Nima. Thank you very much. Wouldn't be here without you.
Is his mix on the internet? Like, is it accessible?
He is. I keep pushing him to do more.
I to me, when I do see him like at events or at even like him active on his social media, you could tell that this guy like knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, you gotta see his studio. Yeah, it's insane.
I think he once or twice he did a little story on his Instagram, and then when I saw him, like, okay, this guy is like legit. You know, he knows what he's doing. But I've never seen him like actively like, promote himself. It looks like he just wants to be on his kind of backside. You know,
he just wants to play the music, sell it to whoever needs it. He's working with a lot of Persian rappers right now and stuff too. Yeah, so he's got some good music out there with some big celebrities. If you look at his folder in his computer, he probably has like 30,000 songs he's made. Like, I don't know, we just be like, Sahab, I'm going to Red Light Studios. That's what he calls his studio. So he goes there and he does his thing. Yeah, but he's really good. And most of the time when you guys see me up on stage, I've got him up there and my brother Arya, who does all the graphics. Most of my videos are made by him. So on stage, when I'm doing my thing and I got a projector with the back with all these cool effects and stuff, that's all him.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about Arya, because that I think the relationship that you guys have with your brother is really special. But before we wrap this part, and I want to ask you a question, and then I want you to think about it and get back to me, because I think there's something about you that many people might know, many people might not know. You're actually very active in community. I mean, you have done charity work, a lot of it. You have done, events, to help, someone with a cancer, someone in needs of, fundraising. I'm sure you've been involved in it many times. Where does that come from? Because typically when people see Sahab, they see the music part of you. But because I know you outside of the music, I mean, you do things that are very special. And you don't really brag about it. You just do it. Like I've never seen you, talk about it. You just do it. You have your, folks that help you, gather those, charities and whatnot. Where did that come from? Think about it, and let's talk about it in the second part. Cool. Good.
Thanks, man.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in for part 2 of my talk with Mr. Sahab Habibi. We ended up part 1, Sahab, with asking you, you do a lot of other stuff, like charitable events. You do like, you did a bike tour to Niagara Falls for a passing of Shahrzad?
5 of them.
5 of them. So, I mean, people that know you that you do it, but other people that might just, see you one or twice, or maybe, they follow you on, your social media, they don't necessarily know about it. I know, sometimes people don't want to talk about these stuff they do, but I think it's good time for you. Like, I mean, I think it's good for people to kind of hear it out. You want to kind of just shed some light? Like, were you always like this and doing all these side events beside your music?
Well, I was raised by my parents in a way that you're blessed in this life. They really worked hard to bring us here for a good life. And, they did everything they could. They never forced us into anything. They gave us love. And, once you think of it, when you get a little older, throughout my childhood, it was always count your blessings. Just know that, you know, no matter how crappy you feel, there's people out there that really need help and just need attention or just a smile. So, you know, I never really understood that as much, but I always believed it, right? Help any way you can, from helping someone move to, you know, a senior lady trying to cross the street, whatever it is. Some people need help, and not a lot of times will they actually go out and say, can you help me? I know myself, if I need help, sometimes I'd love the help, but it's hard, you know. You don't want to take people's time to do anything. So yeah, it was a turning point. I think probably like 11 years ago, when you know, I got into the drumming scene the way I was, and I was having the time of my life. And I'm like, I can't believe a thing like this can give me so much joy and give so much joy to others. And as my name started going out there and people started noticing me and stuff, I realized, you know, yes, this is one thing. It's good. Get more followers, get more fans. It's good for your image. It's good for, you know, the events and stuff. But on the other hand, you can use that for good too. And through that, I started to meet a lot of really good people out there. And one of them was Shahzad. And she was an advocate of like happiness and health. Even though she was going through what she was going through, she started her own organization, One Match, for, you know, giving out blood for donors who can help. And yeah, throughout that time, I even played at her engagement party before all the tragedy happened. And she was really actively out there doing it. And I said, you know what, I want to help you out any way I can. And when I already had done the bike ride one time, because this was just something I'm like, I got to give back somehow. And it wasn't really necessarily for anyone at that time. I did have a cousin who passed away from breast cancer. So I said, you know what, this is for you. Not really like making a big deal out of it, but mentally for me, it was like, I'm going to do this. And then the second year when I met Shahzad and I saw what she was doing out there with everything she was going through, I realized I got to help you out. You know, it's not like she was alone. She had really good friends that are also...
She had a good team.
Yeah, I love them all. They're all great people. And, you know, I don't see them all the time, but shout out to all you guys. But yeah, when that happened, I threw an event, and I remember we hadn't talked yet. I called one of her friends, and I said, is it possible for me to talk to Shahzad? I've heard about her. I know what she's doing. I believe in it. I want to talk to her. And they're like, here's a friend's number. Contact them, and they'll put you in touch. So one day she calls me. And I told her, I'm like, listen, I really believe in what you're doing. I want to help out any way that I can. I'm doing a bike ride this year, and I usually have to raise money for it. I'm, you know, the minimum for the Princess Margaret Hospital Right to Conquer Cancer is you have to raise $2,500. So I said, that's the minimum. Once you've got that, it's good. Anything else you get, great. So I said, once I raise that, I'm going to do my own events, and anything else I have, I'm going to write a check or give you the cash, because I want to give it to someone who needs it. She didn't need it. She was good, right? But I'm like, and once everything is complete, take this to go away on vacation and have a blast. You know what I mean? Or whatever you want to do. And then she's like, thank you so much. And even through all that, she's like, no, I'd rather put this towards my organization. I'm like, sure, anything you want. And that's when that year, her and her few of her friends too joined my team. We were Team Shahzad. We had the jerseys and everything. And yeah, we did 225 kilometers from Exhibition Place to Niagara Falls. 2-day trip, half to Hamilton, sleep in a tent, wake up, do the rest. So that's when I realized it was a good feeling, you know, and unfortunately it didn't turn out the way we all wanted. God rest her soul. But her legacy lives on, and we'll continue to do it, whether it's for that purpose, for, you know, food for the homeless. Like I did one thing called hashtag lunch bag or something, which a group of us met up, donated all some money, made sandwiches with like cookies and a nice note. And we just went around downtown Toronto and started giving it to homeless people, you know? So it's a good feeling, you know? You can't take what you've been given that's so awesome and so amazing and just be selfish with it. So if you can help somehow, some way, I know like a ham sandwich isn't the best thing ever, but hey, ham sandwich is a ham sandwich. And if I can put a smile on someone's face that's having a crappy day, especially with this cold right now, why not? So that we did like toy donations to.
Yes, and as I said, I mean, it's very special. It's very, I mean, it's part of you, part of your personality, which I mean, you don't really talk about it. You just do it because I know you, you know, that you're just naturally a nice person and likes to give back. But I wanted you to kind of touch up on it because I think there's a good story to it. There's people that need to know about it. That yes, Sahab might be performing all the time, might be doing music, but there's a other side of him that might people not know about it if they're not really tuning into it. Now we did talk about your brother, and I think this is a good segue into, you know, there was a part I think back in 2016 where you did a YouTube segment of yourself. You did what, like 5 episodes where there was a life of Habibi or Sahab, you know, kind of your day in, day out kind of thing, you know, traveling, going to concerts to events back to concerts. So doing all that. And it was really, to me, it was like another side of Sahab that I've never had actually got to, you know. I mean, I've always seen you perform. We always had conversation, but I never actually felt like, you know, I want to get to closer. And I know your brother was quite heavily involved with that initiative, and I think during that time your brother also started doing a lot of stand-up comedy too. You know, he was out there. You helped him kind of brand himself. At first it was under you, Sahab and Arya kind of going together, and then he kind of, you know, did his own thing, you know, a couple times, you know, doing opening for other comedians and whatnot. I know, talk about a little bit your relationship with your brother, especially in the, you know, the last few years where you guys have gone, or at least I've seen it, closer and closer. You know, I know you guys have been traveling together, you know, so that relationship where it's work related versus, you know, brotherhood, you know, at some point you guys lived together for so many years in that same house. How did he influence you in kind of branding you better with those YouTube videos? How did you help him, you know, kind of put himself out there as is he like, would you consider him a stand-up comedian, videographer, mix of both?
Yeah, mix of both with MC, host, and so on. So Arya is a natural born actor.
Okay.
In a play, in a movie, directing, scripting, he's good. Mm-hmm. And when he was in high school, I would go watch his plays.
Okay.
And we were in French school. Mm-hmm. So we had like, I don't even know what they are in English, but like Médecin malgré lui. There was a big French play that he was the star of the show. There was Cyrano de Bergerac. There was a lot of different plays he used to be the star of, and he was actually in the newspaper as well, like the French one. But he was on it, and people would always go up to him and take pictures with him and have autographs. And I'm like, good job, man. Keep doing it up. So he started getting into acting and plays and stuff. And then we're best friends. Mm-hmm. Like, we're tight. He's just as tight with me as my other, like, kind of best friend who I've been friends with, but in a friendship way. Mm-hmm. But you know how you always have a brother? Like, we're friends because we're brothers. I have a brother.
I know what it feels.
But, like, with him, it's more like me and him can go out and party. You know what I mean? Go out and chill. He comes, chills at my place. I go chill at his place. So we've always been like that. And once, you know, this got into where it was, he was a big influence on helping me out with the video work. And because he was really good at that, that's what he went and studied for and everything. He started doing his own videos for school and stuff, which I used to be like extras in the back. Mm-hmm. And at one point I'm like, hey man, you're doing so good. Help me out. I want to change up my show a bit. You know, there's me on the stage. Let's put some cool effects and stuff on the background and or you know, stuff like that. So we actually did it in one of the Max Amini shows that I did early on. There was three of me's in the back, each playing a different instrument. And we created, we created like a mix where they were up there and I was on stage and we're playing. So I'm behind a green screen.
No, but before you get to Max, because I know that also opened up a new chat. I want you to talk about the YouTube. Where did that idea came about? To story
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about the YouTube. The like, where did the idea came about?
Okay, so
was Arya the one that brought it up? Did you want it to do it?
It was a mix of a lot. So a lot of people would ask me, because, you know, sometimes when I'm out at events, or sometimes one person will see me at one event and then a few hours later I'm somewhere else and a few hours later somewhere. So a lot of people, they used to ask me, how do you get to all these events? Like, how do you plan this? Most of the time it's hope it works out, but it's also, you know, planning it out the proper way. So at one point I'm like, you know what, with this whole YouTube craze and videos and you're good at videos, let's do something. Let's show the people a day in the life of Sahab. You know what I mean? And that was crazy because I usually get booked for weddings many months in advance. And when they called me and they said, hey, Sammy Baggy, Andy, concert, we want you there to open for them. That's one of those things that I couldn't say no to, even though the other guy booked me 6 months in advance. I had to figure out a way to do this. So the bride and groom, they didn't even know. I said I have something else, but they didn't know that there was going to be 5,000-6,000 people at the International Center to watch me perform. So the timing worked out in a way where I was able to do my thing on stage, go to the wedding, come back. So I wanted to film that and say, it's not as easy as you guys think. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, when you're up on stage doing your thing, that's the easiest part, right? Once you've got the hang of it, you're good. But the behind the scenes, the in-betweens of what can go wrong, and a lot of stuff went wrong that day. If you guys want, it's called Behind the Beats. It's on YouTube. Check it out if you'd like. And you'll see, like, there's a lot of things that go wrong, and it's the way you handle it and get to it. And at the end, you'll see the video, everything worked out. Everyone was fun. Andy liked it. Sammy liked it. So it was great. So it was a fun time. So I'm trying to do more of those. Yeah. But I'm getting pretty busy with all the gigs and stuff. And usually in the winter time, it's a little slower. But this year, nope, we're doing good. So, yeah, so hopefully we'll have another one soon. But feel free to watch the ones that are on right now.
Yeah, this was how many years ago?
4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, I remember.
2015, 16-ish?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I remember because I was like, wow, this is cool, you know. And I was
you were always like, when's the next one?
Yeah,
when's the next one?
Yeah, because
you actually helped push me, you know,
to keep. And I enjoy it because I think it's really nice. It's kind of, to me, it gives me another perspective into Sahab. You know, it's just like, and one of the reasons why I started this podcast is to kind of put myself in other people's shoes and kind of feel like what they going through and how do they even, you know, build themselves, brand themselves, and things like that.
It's a wild ride, but it's so freaking fun.
I'm sure it is.
The heart's beating the whole time. You're sweating, but you got to do it.
And I think, would it be fair enough to say that now you're an international star? You're traveling.
That sounds so good. Say that again.
I mean, you're traveling now outside of North America. I mean, you were always within Canada, USA, you know, Central America, maybe sometimes South America, but I've never had, you know, performing outside of that continent, North and South continent. Now, with you getting, you know, your opportunity, or I don't know if you want to, maybe to go as part of, you know, Max Amini's team to kind of all these different European countries. Kind of before, because I want to talk about how does that different? Because when you're at home, when you're within North America, it's different. Your time zone are somewhat, you know, maybe the maximum you're going to be away for 3 hours, you know, kind of. Whereas Europe, you're now in a different time zone. You're traveling with car, with trains, with planes. There's like all these like, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, you guys were doing events every day or every other day.
Every day,
pretty much. You know, you were at a different city every day doing.
And the last 3 were 2 sold out shows. So it was 2 shows
in one day,
in one night. Yeah.
So explain to me how did you first met Max Amini? How did you guys build that relationship? Because I remember your first event, your first opening for Max Amini was in 2017.
Oh no, like I think 8 to 10 years ago.
Oh yeah,
when Max first started coming into the Persian comedian scene, just after his tomato juice joke. Yeah. When he exploded.
But you weren't at his first event downtown.
No. My first event was in Richmond
Hill, yeah. That wasn't 10 years ago. Well, I'm gonna say
time flies so fast. I don't know, but it's been a while. Okay, but definitely not 2017. That was like 3 years ago. Okay, definitely not 3 years ago. Okay. I actually just got a video right now from 6 years ago. On, you know, when Facebook sends you the memories, reminder, it was the ones with the 3 Sahab. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so this is 2014. You're saying?
Sure, let's go with that.
Okay, sure. Well, whatever. I mean, whenever you started, how did you guys make that bond?
Well, shout out to Max. I love you. Thanks for the support, and can't wait to see you again. But so when he came, I guess after his second time, there was some promoters there, Maysam, Nima's brother, and DJ Takin, you know him, the Persian Rasta boy. Shout out to both of you. Max called him and said, listen, I want to help the up-and-coming artists in Toronto, and I'm looking for an opener. Who do you guys recommend? And then these guys said Sahab. So he gives me a call. He's like, hey, I'm Max. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. He's like, this is what I do, and I need someone to come open for me. So the first show ever that I did with Max, it was pretty busy still in Richmond Hill.
I think that was the one that he comes out with the Kobe.
No, that was later.
That was later.
The first one, I'm just like, okay. I went and bought myself a new shirt. I'm like, Takin, play some music. I played for like 10 minutes. That was it. I left. I had to go to my other gig. But then bit by bit, he started contacting me more often. And then we went on our first like Canadian tour, if you want to think, like Ottawa, Montreal. And there was like 6 shows in one weekend. So it was like Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, back to Toronto. Yeah. That was a pretty fun trip. And that's when we started doing some more and more gigs together, and that Kobe one was pretty jokes, where I play some bandari music, and he comes out with
it's a sikh of Kobe going around,
and he had his hair or whatever. Yeah, so that was really funny, and that's how we started to grow together.
Do you guys just work as like work partners, or are you guys friends outside of work?
We're definitely friends.
Okay. So you guys talk about other stuff than work?
Oh, yeah. We talk
like
about...
personal stuff?
Oh, yeah. Okay. He's given me a lot of advice, especially this trip, you know, when we're on the train or in between shows. When at one point, you just got to relax and figure out what's going on and everything. And we sat there, and he always gives me a lot of advice. He's like a big brother to me, too, and I appreciate everything he said so far. But yeah, we have the show aspect of it, and then we have our friendship and bond that I think after this last tour I did with him, made it really big. So
because typically I know from Max, I remember many years ago, he's a very humble guy. You know, if I know, you know, he always takes pictures with his fans. He's always out there, you know, shaking people's hands and whatnot. And you know, a lot of he obviously he's built a lot of relationship with all these promoters throughout the world, right? You know, because he's always coming back to cities after cities. And as we talked about it offer, we know in fact that this guy has a lot of day books up, right? His probably calendar's fully booked up for 2020.
I've already got his schedule for 2020, 2021.
Yeah. So my question is, when you guys, when he engages you and you engage him, that wanna come up with an idea, is he involved as part of the brainstorming process, or no?
Brainstorming of what?
Of your act.
Oh no, he just goes, Sahab, I love what you do what you want. Here's the date. Here's your ticket. Let's go.
Okay, so he doesn't know until the day of the event.
Yeah.
When he might actually see it from the backstage or some screen.
Oh no, well yeah, he'll see it because all of his shows are taped.
Okay.
You know, to be a good performer of anything, you record yourself every time.
Okay.
Right? Sometimes you may use it.
Okay.
You know, to air a piece of it on for your branding, or sometimes you just look at yourself and you just see, oh, I should have not done that like this. I shouldn't have said this. I should have done this. You know what I mean?
Do you do that yourself?
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't have the opportunity every single time to have a camera because I can't put like $1,000 camera or $2,000 camera somewhere in a club or somewhere at a public event and no one around. Because most of the time I'll be there by myself, unless I get a team. Unless I say, Arya, you know, Nima, whoever else, guys, I need you to come with me.
Okay.
Let's film this one.
Okay.
And those are hit or miss. It may be a great event or a crap event, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
I see.
But yeah, so he eventually sees the shows, and a lot of the times at some of these theaters, they've got a camera and they have a screen in the back, so you can see the stage. So he's seen me like that. Yeah. And I think this trip,
recently, in this trip, there was a video of on your story.
Yeah, and he was vibing. He was watching it. That was such a good one.
Yeah,
man.
he was watching it while you perform.
And I didn't even know that. My buddy Devin, who was part of the tour with us, he was the one who caught that. And after I saw that, I'm like, this is gold. You know what I mean? This is great.
This is cool.
So I like it. And you know, he genuinely supports me. It's not just, hey man, this guy's good for my show. Let's just bring him up. But no, but he I can feel the love with him. So that's why, whatever.
You guys are the same height? No, you're taller.
Yeah, I'm a little taller, but he's pretty tall too himself.
He's a pretty tall.
Yeah, totally.
So now, just kind of walk me through when you get this call to join him on his Euro trip. Was it Germany?
Yeah,
Germany. So obviously you get there, you're kind of jet lag, you're kind of getting yourself into. It's a new. Explain to me how are Persians different in Europe versus here? Is it different? Do you feel the difference?
Language for sure.
Okay.
So no one really speaks English.
Okay.
Like there's a few that speak English, but it's all German or Farsi.
Okay.
And his whole trip was actually in Farsi. His whole show. None of his.
So you had to actually tell them like, you know, in Farsi, you know, to get the fans to kind of react to you, like.
To me, no, because I don't talk. I drum.
You don't even tell them like to clap.
Oh yeah, but you don't have to tell them.
Okay, you could just show them. Okay,
yeah, man, like come on, right?
I see.
But you don't actually have to tell them, guys, start clapping. You know, so you don't need to do that. But yeah, no, maybe after, when they're coming for the pictures or just the mingle and stuff, you speak to them in Farsi, which I did. But some people actually speak English as well. So but it's really cool. Like you ask the guy to translate to the German guy for you, and you have this Persian guy going like Eisen, Meisen, Scheisen. Okay, you know what I mean? So it's really cool to see that. And I guess it's probably one of the only European countries, or one of the only countries out there with Persians that Max does it in Farsi.
Because
everywhere else is in English.
Okay.
So, and I didn't know how, because Max is pretty much not born, but raised in USA. LA, right? So he's pretty like Americanized, but his Farsi is pretty good. Way better than mine. I learned some new words. Yeah. Good words, bad words.
Was it tiring to be on the road?
Oh, no. I don't know. Maybe in 10 years, but.
So you were excited to get onto the next.
I don't even think I slept, but I was never really tired. I don't know.
Okay.
It's just a rush.
Okay.
It's a crazy rush. And just think of it
you
like
just
when
show up, you just for 4 days, you're just go.
4 days or 7 days.
7 days.
7 days or 6 days and 7 shows.
Okay.
It was a crazy rush. Like sometimes we almost missed our train. Sometimes we almost missed our flight. Running here, running there, making sure everything's done on point. I ended up at one venue where I give them my USB and they're like, no, we take CD. I'm like, CD? What are those? You know? But that happened. But it's a crazy rush and I loved it so much. And at one point when you're just like having your alone time and you're like, this is what I'm meant to do. That happened to me a few times on stage. I was just like, this is why I'm here to do this. The claps of the people, the cheering and all that was the most amazing feeling. And I can't wait for the next one.
Okay. And do you see yourself doing, not necessarily with Max, but just with collaborating with other artists to actually go, maybe go to the Middle East?
Totally. Yeah. No, I would love to. Middle East for sure. Iran. Imagine I could go there once.
Okay.
I've been there since 2 months, which pretty much means never.
Okay.
But that would be really cool if I can do something like that. So
to do kind of a tour. Or maybe...
a tour, or even just go visit.
Okay. Do you have the excitement to do that? Do you want to? Obviously, the circumstances have to be met, and you have to be ready. Not booked, because you have to. Obviously, it's big. Kind of changing, especially if you're going back to Iran where you were born. But then, just generally, do you have the interest to go? Like,
of course.
Okay.
How could you not? Where your motherland is, to go back and say, hey guys, I've never been here, but I've always thought of you.
Okay.
This is what I can do. Check this out.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a ton of really amazing drummers there too, right? Okay. So just like, hey, this is a Canadian Persian boy. This is what I can do. Hope you like it.
Yeah, that's it's very special. So with Max and your special connection, and you guys traveling, and you guys doing a tour, obviously Canada. Now you mentioned something coming up, in a couple, weeks or months. Next week. Okay, so it's coming up,
Yeah.
By the time probably this airs, it's already been done, it's already been covered. Now, how much planning do you put on it, like on your events? Like obviously, it really depends on what kind of event you're doing, but just generally, like when you get booked on an event, how much planning do you put on it? How much thinking do you put on it?
Well, this one that I'm doing next week for Max in LA was told to me in Germany. Okay. So like January 14th, he's like, Sahab, I'm taking you to LA for another show, right? So, and that was something that I wanted to do new because I've already been in LA. So that planning took me a whole day of figuring out what I'm going to do. Called up my buddy DJ Bowtie, shout out to you. Came over, we did a mix together and it worked out well. But the thing is I'm always kind of thinking ahead. So, I already know that by next summer, I need to have things that people from last summer haven't seen. Okay. So I'm always planning. I'm always setting up a new song, a new show, with dancers, with my buddy Ali Reza on the violin, or anyone else out there that I will collaborate with. So I always have that ready. So the planning, it's on an ongoing basis. If I'm not drumming on stage or sleeping, we're thinking of the next show. And it just keeps going.
Yeah, and it's good that you kind of brought Ali Reza into the whole thing. I don't want to know.
Shout out to that guy too.
Yes, indeed, because you guys do have a side branding that you guys perform. Obviously, you guys both perform solo, but then you guys do perform together too. How much practice does it go into that?
At first, a lot.
At first, okay.
And it's not only practice; it's hanging out with each other.
Okay.
Knowing each other.
So you wouldn't necessarily work with someone that you don't are friends with?
I could.
Okay,
but to put this much effort that we've put into Skin and Strings,
okay.
I wouldn't just do it with anyone.
Okay.
You know, like you need someone reliable, someone who's got the heart like you and who's willing to go and do it, right?
Okay.
So when we met randomly, and we just kind of played together a little bit, and we're like, hey, and let's give this.
But you guys are two different. You're so like, I guess you're obviously both Iranian and Persian, but then your Farsi is so. But
he actually helped me out a lot because
his Farsi is like full. His English is so. So how do you guys like? Obviously, there's not really barrier there, but like.
Let me just say, my Farsi is like 10 times better now because of him. Because I always speak to him in Farsi.
Okay.
So I learned it, and now
so is it just me that you don't want to talk to Farsi with?
I'm just a little shy, dude.
Okay, no worries.
میتونم حرف بزنم ولی بهتره که همون انگلیسی باشه. بعد میتونین ترجمه بکنین واسه همه اگر خواستین.
خب, so your relationship with Alireza, explain to me that. Just generally, how much you said there was a lot of practice that went into it at the beginning.
Yes. Okay. And every time we're gonna come up with a new act, it is as well. But we both have our own shows too. So
because I think he also plays with another group that he does his own. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you guys do your own separate thing, but then this two of you collaboration is just another branding that goes into it.
Yeah. Yeah, we like I said, we were both booked for an event. Mansoor. Yeah, Mansoor was the main singer for that event. It was actually a wedding, a big wedding. And they said we have a violin player. He's new to Canada. We want to know if you guys can work together. And I always wanted to actually do that. I had an idea in my head that I'm like, I want to find a violin player to do something with me, like a battle. So then at the meeting, eventually at one point, I'm just like, okay, let's meet him. Give me his phone number. He gives me his phone number, and I decide to call him. And then we met up in my like pool table room in my building. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you a rhythm. Just start playing. Did that for a few minutes, and we were like, all right.
You guys got to go pick it up.
Looked at each other like, okay, we have something.
Nice.
Went and did the first event. Worked out very well. And then we said, hey, let's do something together.
Awesome. I mean, I like it. I like the whole collaboration. I think you with Alireza, you alone, you with Max, just whatever you're doing, it's working out. And it's working out. And I'm sure there's a lot more that I'm looking forward to in 2020, 2021, and even 2022.
Yeah, let's just keep on going,
Keep on going, man. You're a good guy with a good heart, with a lot of talent. It was nice talking to you, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for taking all this time and listening to me. By the way, this is 2 separate episodes, but same day, so I didn't wear the same shirt again twice. Just to let you know.
Same part two. We're just doing the same thing. All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.